Hello, welcome to FightCore USA.
I'm gonna say it right now. If you rage quit, you're a quitter. You've given up, and it's one of the biggest taboos in fighting. No matter how good you are, no matter how great you think you are, if you rage quit, you're a quitter. There have been many fighters over the years that have tapped 2 strikes. They weren't even that damaging. All they were thinking was, please let me get out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. Sometimes they actually don't even tap. They just give up. They look at the ref and they go, I don't want to do this anymore. The most famous example of this, obviously, was Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice was dominating the fight with some big shots. His opponent was hurt badly. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Kimbo stopped, put his head down, said he's done, walked away. Now, in that particular case, he was disqualified because of what he did. He was basically trying to run away. The guy was hurt, was still standing there, and Kimbo was like, nope, I'm done. That's it. Now, it did come back to bite him because he lost the fight and got disqualified. But you have to remember something. If someone walks away from a fight, if someone gives up in a fight, it doesn't happen because they're scared. It happens because they're tired of getting hit, because they're going, man, this guy's tough. I didn't realize he was that tough. I'm getting beat up here. I'm never going to be able to stop him. Or they might be getting hit with punches that make them see stars. Things that really hurt. But when they look over and they see the ref hasn't stepped in, they go, wow, I'm really getting hit hard here. This hurts. This hurts bad. It doesn't mean that they're scared. They're not scared of their opponent. They're scared of continuing to get hit. There is a big difference between tapping because you're physically unable to continue and tapping. Because you do want to continue. And sometimes there's a very fine line between the two. But when you see someone rage quit, you know they're totally done. It might not be because they're injured. It could be because they're tired, they're hot, they're frustrated. Whatever the reason is, they don't want to deal with it anymore. They've had enough. And it happens surprisingly often in MMA. How often has your favorite fighter looked like they were doing great? Looked like they had the fight won, and then all of a sudden they just gave up. They went in there, looked like they were gonna finish the fight, and then something happened where they just said, nope, I'm done. That's happened countless times. And it's not because these guys are quitters. It's because they're competitors. They go in there, they train so hard for these fights, and they don't want to get beat. At the end of the day, their ego gets bruised more than anything. And that's why we see guys walk away from fights. It's funny because when you ask fans about this, they'll always defend it. They'll always come up with excuses. Oh, he was injured. No, he wasn't. He was tired. No, he wasn't. All he was doing was conserving energy. Well, yeah, but he also quit. You have to admit that. One of the worst things about walking away from a fight is it has something that will stick with you forever. You can lose 10 fights in a row, but if you walk away from one of them, people are going to bring it up for the rest of your career. People are going to hold that over your head for the rest of your career. How many fighters actually bounce back after they've rage quit? How many fighters come back after they walked away from a fight and then gone, you know what, I made a mistake. I go back in there and I finish it off. It almost never happens. It's very rare that you see someone bounce back from a rage quit. Because once you've walked away, once you've tapped because you're tired, because you've decided that you've had enough, and you want to throw in the towel, it's hard to get past that mental barrier. Even if you do go back in there and try to finish the job, you're going to have that one fight that sticks in the minds of fans forever. You're going to have that one fight that you can never live down. And it's the same thing with your striking. When you get tired and you start slowing down, you can get hit with counter punches. And those counter punches can hurt. And sometimes those counter punches can make you see stars. And when you see those stars, it doesn't feel good. If you're getting hit with punches that are making you see stars, there's only a few things you can do. You can press forward and hope you knock the guy out. You can start trying to tie up the punches. You can start blocking and trying to ride it out, or you can get defensive and just decide, you know what? I'm done. Now, it doesn't happen very often that someone will tap because they're seeing stars. It usually happens because they re-exhausted and they getting hit with shots that are making them see stars. But at the end of the day, it's a very fine line between the two. And when you're going through it, you don't know where that line is. One thing I will say is anyone who tops because they re-seeing stars is never going to live it down. People are always going to bring it up. People are always going to hold it over their head. They're always going to say, oh, you know, that guy couldn't even take a punch. But there's another side to it. Anyone who taps because they're tired, because they're gashed out, is also never going to live it down. People are also going to hold that over their head and say, oh, yeah, he tapped because he was tired. Again, it doesn't matter if you were injured. If you're tapped, you're going to get that reputation of being a quitter, of giving up. And it's one of the worst reputations a fighter can have. We've seen some great fighters over the years. We've seen some legendary fighters over the years. But when you look back at some of those legendary fighters, you'll find that there's one fight that they'll never live down. There's one fight that they'll never forget. There's one fight that people always bring up to haunt them for the rest of their careers. And it doesn't matter if you're the greatest of all time. It doesn't matter if you have 30 title defenses. Doesn't matter if you've defended your title more than anybody else ever. If you tap once, people are going to remember that. Think about it. How many of us can remember a time when we messed up, when we made a mistake, when we had a failure? And it doesn't matter how many successes we've had since then. It doesn't matter how many times we've bounced back from that. People always bring it up. It's always in the back of our mind. It's always something that we've got to overcome. Well, it's the same thing with these guys. The only difference is their failures are played out on the biggest stage possible. Millions of people watching, billions of people watching around the world. And they're going to be judged by the millions and billions of people. So you can understand why these fighters don't want to give up. At the end of the day, no one wants to be called a quitter. No one wants to have that one fight that they can never live down. But it does happen, and it's one of the biggest taboos in fighting.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.